Anyway, hello everyone. Thanks for the invite. Great to see all of you. Jabu, thanks for that presentation. You actually took a lot of the wind out of my sails from talking about ChatGPT, generative AI, using it. I maybe want to just pivot a little bit and give a different lens on it. Now, I work in AI. I'm going to definitely touch on it. But I also want to tell you a little bit about my personal journey and story, because I think it's important. And I want to start with 1989. But I was 15, and it was the first time I did public speaking. I went to a camp over the holidays, and I had to report back in the school hall in front of the whole school behind the podium. And it was probably, if you ask me what's one of my most embarrassing moments ever, it was this one. And like a lot of kids learn how to speak, I had all my notes on little cards. No one taught me how to speak or how to articulate. And I still don't know if we actually are teaching our children this. And I stood behind the podium and I went through my cards reporting back on this camp. And what I didn't realize I was so nervous. I was constantly going up and down on my toes the whole time. And for about, 6 months, I guess, the kids mocked me, and children do that. Whenever they walked past me, they went up and down like this. And I said to myself, I will never, ever speak in public again. And now at the age of almost 50, I reckon about 90% of my income is public speaking, 3 conferences a week on average, a lot of TV and radio work. So what happened in the meanwhile? And then again, what role did AI play? And I want to just go back to what I said about articulation. It's probably the most precious gift and skill we can have, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's as a child with your parents, obviously as a speaker, speaking to customers, selling your goods and services, is how do you come over in a way that people resonate with it? We don't teach our children that. Now, by the way, ChatGPT is also articulation. The way you prompt it is articulating what you want from the AI. Now, a lot of my prompts are about 3 or 4 paragraphs long, and I keep on doing it until it gets what I'm asking. And a lot of people I know who say they don't get a lot out of ChatGPT. If I can be very honest, it's just because you're lazy, because you want to put in 3 words and you expect a whole talk outline or a whole article. You have to put in links and references. And I do a course with a lot of my clients about how to prompt. But I want to show you guys something quickly, because in the room next door is my 10-year-old son. And he's doing a talk tomorrow in school. It's only 2 minutes, and he needs to be a news person presenting the news. And the first picture is the musicians of Bremen. I read this. It was very boring, by the way. And then the second one was presenting the weather. And then the third one of my great favorite pictures, is obviously the Springboks. And why I'm showing you this is because the way his teachers are teaching him is, again, to use all of these little cards to memorize everything and to essentially give back this regurgitated information. And I'm trying to teach him what I learned late in life is telling a story. And let me just briefly go back. I know this is AI, but I want to take you back 80,000 years ago. Because we human sapiens lived among many other hominoid species that looked human. The most prominent were the Neanderthals. And about 80,000 years ago, they disappeared. And we don't quite know why. And we still, most of us, have about 3% Neanderthal DNA in us. One of the main reasons why Homo sapiens advanced so fast and Neanderthals disappeared is our increased brain capacity and brain size, but our language ability, our ability to speak and to communicate, and it brings us back to articulation. So for thousands of years, we have been storytellers. Since our earliest age, all of us in this meeting today learned to tell stories, even if it was just bullshitting our parents, which this 10-year-old still does. All of us know that. I still do it. We tell stories, we justify ourselves, we try and convince, we try and get the best. It's a it's a bit of a selfish thing. And there's a number of lessons I learned for me, and this is just me in public speaking. The one is, I can't be Steve Jobs. I'm just me. And if you don't like it, go away. About 2 years ago, my attorney, who's my best friend since I've been 6, I took him with me to a tech event. He's an attorney. He doesn't understand jack about tech or AI. And he sat in the audience and he said something I'll never forget. He said, the Johan on the stage and the Johan at a braai is exactly the same guy. And that taught me a lot about authenticity. Now, obviously, we have skills. How do you hold the mic? Do you stand behind the podium or not? How do you engage the audience? Those are skills we learn. But I can't do Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. And I'm just me. But it's both a skill and a gift. You know, a gift is what you were, in a way, born with. All of us have been born with articulation, an articulatory gift. But the skill is how to speak and how to convince. But the second thing that really changed my speaking career was a sense of moral responsibility. There are people in the audience, even if it's just one, and I probably will never hear back from them, who needs to hear what I have to say because I'm speaking from my experience. It's gonna help them. And that was a big pivot for me. And you all are wondering, how the hell is this all related to AI? And I'm getting there. But if there's one person in the audience that will be really helped, whether it's their career or as a parent or the fear of the future or this whole AI and the fear around that, and I can help them, then I have delivered the message I had to deliver. And then it's not that much important whether people liked what I had to say, whatever the feedback is. And I'm sure I will tell you a quick story just to pivot. Getting feedback from the audience, especially after the event, for me is always daunting because, you know, a lot of these conferences, they have the app where people can rate you. And it's great to get that feedback because we can constantly grow and learn. But I was at a big supply chain conference in Cape Town a year ago. And of the 48 replies on the app, which I only got a month later, all but 2 were super positive. Great talk, changed my life, thinking about it differently, really inspired me. But the 2 that got to me, that I worried about for months, and that really took the wind out of my sails. The one said, this guy should never have been a public speaker. That was just a comment. That was the end of it. And the other one was, it's a pity I sat so far from the door because I couldn't wait to leave. Okay. So it bothered me for months and months. And then I realized, you know, not everyone's going to like you. People go through crap. They go through divorce. They have a bad day. They have a hangover. But okay, let's get to the AI thing. And you'll see hopefully see how I connect it all together. Don't forget that there's something uniquely human that technology will never replace. And I think Johan was in the very limited time he had, very effective in showing just the art of the possible. How some of these tools can help us with idea generation, talking points. I mean, most of the talking proposals I send to conference organizers and clients, I definitely use ChatGPT, not for everything, because I find that it doesn't entirely give the voice I want to give to the theme of the talk. But if I need a few ideas on a supply chain conference or a human resources conference or themes of the future in procure to pay, etc., then I definitely will ask it to give me references, look at articles, how should I maybe shape my talk. That's why the articulation and the prompting is important. Who is the audience? Are they technical or non-technical? What industry do they work in? What are the main outcomes or the main takeaways from my talk? Those are things I really ask ChatGPT to help me with. But what it cannot do is the authentic voice only I have. And I want to give you a quote from Hemingway, probably my most favorite author. Old Man and the Sea, short book. I read it every year. It's a great book, but he said something about writing, but I want to pull it into this talk about speaking. Some of you probably know this. He said, there is nothing to writing. All you do is sit at the typewriter and bleed. But what if we say there's nothing to public speaking? All you do is stand at the podium and bleed. What if it is you just give your heart, because there's a moral responsibility. There's stuff that AI cannot do, that ChatGPT cannot do. It can support you in the background. The audience deserves the best of us. People have a bullshit filter. We all know this. They know when you're trying to do Steve Jobs and when you're just reading your ChatGPT prompt readout. Let it help you in the background. There's something in our psychology that we don't always understand, but if you're authentic to me, whether it's on the stage or in a face-to-face conversation, I will pick it up. I don't even know why. If you're inauthentic, I'll also pick it up. Because remember, we read micro-expressions on each other's faces. We actually smell the pheromones and the hormones we release when we meet people. There's so much about us as humans that differentiated us from 80,000 years ago that no AI or ChatGPT will ever be able to replace. So my call to all of us today is use this technology as much as you can, because we should. It helps us. And again, I don't want to repeat what Job said. It was great. But please don't AI yourself. Automate yourself, thinking ChatGPT is going to replace you, because the audience is deserving, sitting there waiting for your authentic, true self. And I think if we can get better at that, the fear of what they think, the fear of dry mouth, the dilated pupils, the perspiration, all that stuff that for me after all these years never goes away. I think I've just learned to deal with it better. I can't AI that away. So I want to, and it's perhaps not entirely the talk you were all expecting, but I just want to call it a rallying call to you as speakers. There's something inside of you that the world deserves. ChatGPT can help you a heck of a lot, but it cannot replace who you really are and who people need to hear what you have to say.